Look down at your feet right now. Whatever is between your skin and the floor, a sock, a sneaker, a slipper, take it away. Now, take the floor away too. You are standing in a cold forest in northern Spain. It is winter. It is 12,000 years ago. The ground under you is wet rock, rotting leaves, and hidden thorns. You are going to walk about 9 miles today because that is where the food is. And you are going to do all of it with nothing on your feet. Not just today, not just this winter, not ever. So here is the question. How did ancient humans survive with no shoes? Now you already have an answer ready. I know you do. Their feet were tough, thick as leather, basically built in boots. That is the obvious guess, and it is the one almost everybody makes. But that is not what happened. Not even close. A thick foot does not stop a thorn. A thick foot does not stop a sharp rock, splitting your heel open in the dark. And a thick foot definitely does not stop what crawls into that wound afterwards. Here is the thing. Nobody tells you. Going barefoot was never a problem waiting to be solved. For almost all of human history, the foot was not a weak thing that needed protecting. The foot was the equipment, and the equipment worked. Look at how recent shoes actually are. Our species has been around for roughly 300,000 years. The oldest surviving footwear anyone has ever dug out of the ground is about 10,000 years old. So for something like 97% of our time on this planet, the standard human interface with the earth was skin. Shoes are not ancient. Shoes are brand new. They are younger than the domesticated dog. They are younger than pottery. They are about as old as farming itself, which means the strange, unnatural, historically weird thing in this story is not the barefoot hunter. It is you, sitting there in your shoes. Stay with me. Because the reason we finally put something on our feet is not the reason you think. Start with the evidence that is impossible to argue with. Footprints in Laetoli, in Tanzania. There is a trail of prints pressed into volcanic ash. They are 3.6 million years old. Two of our distant relatives walked across wet ash, and the ash set like concrete. You can see the heel strike. You can see the arch. You can see the big toe pushing off. Bare every one of them, then jump forward. Illiret in Kenya, about 1.5 million years ago. These prints were probably made by Homo erectus, and here is what is genuinely wild about them. The foot that made them is basically your foot. A real arch, a straight big toe, a proper push-off, not an ape foot, a walking machine, and it is bare. Now go somewhere cold, Happisburgh. On the coast of England, human footprints, roughly 850,000 years old. Northern Europe, a river, estuary, a climate closer to southern Scandinavia today. Bare feet, in the cold, standing on an ancient mudflat, so the pattern is not subtle. Everywhere we look, for millions of years, humans are walking, running, hunting, migrating, and doing all of it on naked skin. Which raises the obvious question, what is a lifelong bare foot actually like? Because it is not the same object as the thing in your shoe. There is a term for the tough pad that builds up on a habitually bare sole, plantar callus. Plainly, your skin figures out that the ground is not going away, and it thickens. In 2019, researchers led by Daniel Lieberman published a study in the journal Nature, comparing people who grew up barefoot in Kenya with people who grew up in shoes. The barefoot group had calluses around 30% thicker. That part is not surprising. This next part is they had not lost any feeling. You would assume a thick sole means a numb sole. It does not. The nerve endings that read the ground, the mechanoreceptors, were still doing their job through the callus. A callus is hard, but it is stiff, and it passes vibration straight through. A cushioned running shoe is soft, and softness eats information. So the barefoot foot is not a numb slab. It is a tough, wide, extremely well-informed foot. The toes splay out. The small muscles inside the foot are strong because they have been doing real work every day since childhood. It is a foot that can grip, feel, and read terrain the way your hand reads a doorknob in the dark. So that is one problem handled. Except it is not the problem that kills you. Because here is what a callus cannot do. It cannot stop a puncture. Step on a sharp flake of flint, a broken bone, an acacia thorn, and you are not shielded. You are cut. And in a world with no antibiotics, a cut on the foot is not a small thing. There is a bacterium that lives in soil almost everywhere on Earth. Clostridium tetani. You know it by the disease it causes. Tetanus. It hates oxygen, which makes a deep, narrow, dirty puncture wound the perfect house for it. A thorn driving soil into the bottom of your foot is very close to the ideal delivery mechanism. There is no immune trick that fixes this. There is no toughness that fixes this. And even if the infection stays local, think about what a bad foot does to a hunter-gatherer. You are the walking animal. Your entire survival strategy is that you can cover ground. A band moves camp. A band follows game. A band walks to water. An adult who cannot walk is an adult who is being carried, or fed, or left behind. So the danger of the bare foot was never really the pain. It was the immobility. Now, hold on. You might be thinking, if bare feet get infected and infected people die, why did nobody invent the shoe for 300,000 years? That is a genuinely good question. And the answer is the whole point of this video. They did not solve the problem with material. They solved it with behavior. Watch anyone who actually grew up without shoes. And the first thing you notice is that they are looking at the ground, not staring at it, reading it, constantly. The way you read the road while driving, walking barefoot is an information sport. And everybody who did it was a lifelong expert. Then there is how the foot lands. Lieberman and his colleagues also showed something strange about barefoot runners. When you run in a modern cushioned shoe, most people slam the heel down first. The shoe absorbs it, so you never feel the impact spike. Take the shoe away, and almost nobody does that, because it hurts. Barefoot runners tend to land on the front or the middle of the foot, and the leg and the arch soak up the shock, like a spring. Same body, different software, add the rest of it. Known trails, walked for generations, traveling in daylight when you can see what you are stepping on. Cleaning and packing a wound with plant material. None of that is armor. All of it is knowledge, and knowledge weighs nothing, which matters when you carry everything you own. Which brings us to the one enemy that no amount of knowledge, callus, or careful walking can beat. Cold callus does not warm you. Attention does not warm you. Skin below roughly minus half a degree Celsius begins to freeze, and frozen tissue dies. Frostbite takes toes. Toes are how you push off, balance, and run. And this is where the story finally turns, because we can actually watch shoes appear in the human skeleton. In 2005, the anthropologist Erik Trinkaus published a study on something you would never think to look at: toe bones. His logic goes like this. When you walk barefoot, your toes are load-bearing. They grip and they push. So the bones of the smaller toes stay thick and strong. Put a supportive shoe on that foot, and the shoe does part of that job. The toes work less. The bone gets a little lighter. Bone is not fixed. Bone responds to the loads you put on it, which is why a tennis player's serving arm has denser bone than the other one. So Trinkaus went looking for the moment. Human toe bones got weaker. He found it around 40,000 years ago, in Europe and Western Asia. The small toe bones start to slim down. And here is the control that makes it interesting. The leg bones stay strong. So these are not people who suddenly stopped walking. They were walking just as much. Their toes just stopped taking the full load. Now, an honest caveat, this is inference, not a shoe. Bones do not come with labels, and other things can change bone shape. But the pattern is exactly what regular footwear would leave behind. And it appears at exactly the time modern humans are pushing into cold, glacial Europe. The evidence points one way. People probably started wrapping their feet, not for comfort and not for thorns, but for the cold. And then something inconvenient happens to the archaeology. Shoes rot. Leather, bark, and grass do not fossilize. They vanish. So the shoes we actually have are all late. And they only survived because of freak luck, a dry cave or a glacier, Fort Rock Cave, Oregon, in 1938. Wet. An archaeologist named Luther Cressman pulled out dozens of sandals woven from sagebrush bark, roughly 10,000 years old, preserved under a layer of volcanic ash, the oldest footwear ever found. They are not boots. They are flat woven soles with a tie, and they look like something you could make in an afternoon. If you knew how, in a cave in southern Spain, archaeologists found woven grass sandals, thousands of years old, kept intact by the dry air of the cave. Then Armenia, a cave called Arini I, a single shoe about 5,500 years old. One piece of cowhide wrapped around the foot, laced up with a leather cord, and stuffed with grass. Nobody is sure if the grass was insulation or padding, which honestly is the most human archaeological uncertainty ever recorded. And then there is the best evidence we will ever get. Otzi, the Iceman who died in the Alps about 5,300 years ago and got freeze-dried into the ice. He was wearing shoes, real, engineered shoes, bearskin on the sole, deerskin on top. A woven netting of bark string to hold the shape, and packed inside, soft grass, stuffed in as insulation. That is not a sandal. That is a boot built for snow, by someone who understood exactly what he was doing. Look at that list again, and the pattern jumps out at you. The first shoes are not city shoes. They are cold shoes and rough ground shoes. They are not protecting a soft foot. They are extending a tough one into terrain that would otherwise kill it. Which leaves one last question, and it is the uncomfortable one. If the barefoot worked for 300,000 years, what did we give up when we covered it? Compare a lifelong barefoot foot with a lifelong shod foot, and the shapes are different. The barefoot foot is wider at the front, with the toes spread apart, especially the big toe. The foot in the shoe is narrower, and the toes are squeezed toward each other, because that is the shape of the box we put them in. Researchers who have compared habitually barefoot and habitually shod populations tend to report fewer of the classic foot deformities. In the barefoot group, things like bunions and collapsed arches. Now, be careful here. These groups differ in 100 ways beyond footwear. So this is a strong pattern and not a clean experiment. The honest version is this. The human foot evolved for millions of years against the ground. And then, in a geological blink, we put it in a cast and asked it to stay strong. Some weakness was probably always going to be the price. But be equally honest about what that price bought. Think about that for a second. The shoe did not fix a broken body part. The foot was never broken. What the shoe did was let a tropical primate walk across a frozen continent. It let us stand on scree, on ice, on volcanic rock, on the floor of a factory, on a mountain. That is the deal humans keep making, over and over. We almost never upgrade the body. We build a small thing. We strap it on, and we walk somewhere the body was never meant to go. Fire did it with the night. Clothes did it with the cold. Boats did it with water. and a strip of bearskin and a handful of grass did it with the ground. So when we ask how ancient humans survived with no shoes, the question is quietly backwards. They were not surviving a lack. They were living in the default setting on feet that were tough, wide, sensitive, and completely up to the job. We are the ones who left, and every one of us is still carrying the receipt for it, folded up inside a shoe, right now. There's a whole world of these small human mysteries hiding inside the most boring objects you own. Stick around if you are curious about being human.